guys.
We're here. We're here. It's another watch along.
It is Mystery Wrestling Theater 9000, brought to you by the patrons of podexchange.com, patreon.com/podexchange. It is Dylan, it is Shoes, and today
you had your glasses
we are
on literally to read notes.
What?
And you still fuck it up.
I have no notes for this. I'm going to experience this in the moment. Like because I've seen this pay-per-view before. I remember where I watched it, which one of my friends' house that I watched it at the time, but I couldn't tell you anything about this. Were you in the company at this point?
No, I started in 06.
Oh, okay. That's not that big of a difference. 04 to
years.
06? Yeah, but 2 years isn't that much.
I just graduated high school at this point. You were 30 years into JetBlue at this point.
I was, number one, don't say that, please, because wait, that's got to be edited out. It's the fucking last thing I need. I was fucking 22. I was a hot shot on the Northeast Indies at this point.
You were 22?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were way older than me.
No, I'm what? 4 or 5 years? 5 years.
Yeah, four.
You're 86.
86.
I'm 5, but I'm near the end of
okay.
That.
All right.
So 22 at this point. We put it up for vote in the Discord. We gave you guys some options from different August pay-per-views.
We had one vote.
We got one vote. One vote. Jeff Montalvo. So Jeff Montalvo selected the match we'll be watching today, and it is from SummerSlam 2004, 20-year anniversary. It is Triple H against Eugene Dinsmore. And Dylan, when you think back to the Eugene character, it is amazing that this thing ever saw the light of day, right?
How did this happen? And how did it last as long as it did? I mean, I know how long. It was a very beloved character. Very beloved. Too. Very quickly, very beloved character. They never hit on what they were, they never directly hit on what they were hinting at.
Of course, but they basically made the character where he was wrestling's version of Rain Man. And I know you don't remember Rain Man, but Rain Man was
Powder.
No, Powder was a different movie. Rain Man was Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, 1988. But Dustin Hoffman plays Tom Cruise's older brother who has a mental disability, but he can remember everything, and he becomes a savant at like playing cards and stuff like that. And they made Eugene the savant for wrestling. He knew every wrestling maneuver. He knew the reversal to everything, and it made him a legitimate competitor because of it.
He was based on an actual fan that I've met many, many times.
I've heard Pritchard say that. Is it maybe in the Pittsburgh area or something? It was a kid named Eugene.
Yep. He always came with his mom, would always bring him to the shows. I met him a lot of times. And that's what Eugene Dinsmore was based off of.
And they bring him in. His introduction is as the nephew of Eric Bischoff. So Eric looks at it as doing his sister a favor that he gives her son a job. And he kind of strikes up this relationship with Steven Regal, William Regal, who's the commissioner at the time. And
I will always say, people put Regal over for his wrestling ability and this, that, and the other thing. The stuff that he did with Eugene and the stuff that he did with Tajiri trump all of his wrestling stuff.
The stuff that he did where he squeezed his own orange juice, I think, is just up there as well. When he chopped his own wood. That kind of stuff.
Oh, I didn't know. I was like, what am I forgetting? Okay. Yep.
So SummerSlam 2004, we're not going to talk about the whole show, but I think it's funny that when you do open up this pay-per-view, it starts off, it was a Summer Olympics year. So we had a lot of the vignettes that they had been pushing throughout the years of, throughout the promotional period for this show of the superstars competing in separate Olympic style events to promote SummerSlam, which I thought was very good at the time. I think it was a great marketing campaign. So it's one of those things that I remembered immediately upon turning on this show.
Isn't it funny that you remember those vignettes like so vividly? Like the Royal Rumble ones. I remember the West Side Story one from Royal
There's gonna
Rumble.
be a Rumble tonight.
Yep.
A very Royal Rumble. That's right.
Of course, it's a musical theme, and you obviously know that one.
The WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, where they did all the movies.
Loved it. Oh, I love that one so much. It was who was the one at the restaurant? Was it Christy Hemme and
where they did Harry Met Sally? But it was she's having the orgasm at the table.
Yeah. Because there's a famous clip of then the Braveheart one where Flair gets bucked off the horse in the outtakes where he gets pushed off the horse. And man, at that age, Flair isn't a young spry human at that time.
Flair is probably 50 at that time.
Fell off a horse. Like, oh man.
But that's the kind of stuff that sticks out. The SummerSlam one that I always go back to, if someone says like, can you remember a SummerSlam thing? I always remember Brock giving the shark an F5. Like there's a shark attack on the beach and he runs into the water to F5 the shark.
Yeah. Man, I love those. I love the vignettes.
So that's what this show opens with. Now we're going to open up our Peacock apps. SummerSlam 2004 is the show, and we are going to begin at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 40 seconds for the match. It is Triple H, who at this point is very, very much a top guy. And Eugene, so on paper, looking back at this match, almost seems kind of ridiculous that this is a marquee match at SummerSlam.
For Triple H to be having this match after just facing Benoit and Shawn Michaels
at WrestleMania that year.
Yeah. And then going to this is insanity.
And we can poke holes. I know Nick Dinsmore now gets a lot of shit from the internet wrestling community. Guys, he's told to do a job. Like, leave him
alone. I'm not a fucking real leprechaun.
That can be debated. Where Dylan still shows up selling ring-worn hats that you can
call them ring-worn anymore, dickhead. I don't do that. I don't do that. Just 20.
How much for a photo op? Just 20.
Just 20. Just 20, buddy. Oh, you want an autograph with it? Just 30.
But the character at the time, looking back at it now, seems very, very absurd that it existed. The fact that he's with the top guy is insane, but I think it speaks a lot to the way Nick actually handled the gimmick. He worked the gimmick and got it over in such a short period of time, where even though it didn't exactly have the longest staying power,
he was a tag champ.
He was a tag champ. Like, I think if you're someone who grew up in that era, and this is something we kind of broached
he was that era's Doink.
Yeah, like he was that, the Santino before Santino or whatever. He was that kind of guy. So if
he was still there when I was
he
wrestled him on house shows. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I did vignettes with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
In my memory, the Nick Dinsmore thing was 6 months. The Eugene Dinsmore thing was 6 months.
Was a long time.
But I know he was, and even before that, he was in developmental forever. Just waiting for an opportunity. But I think the way they work this gimmick, especially in the early days of it, is really, really good. And I think even if you're trying to poke holes in it today with, oh, well, this was wrong because you can make all the arguments you want. I think WWE actually did a good job of handling this angle.
Never poked fun at the quote unquote condition.
He wasn't the comedy. The comedy was happening around him.
Correct.
And there is a difference to that.
Laughing at or laughing with. No one was laughing at.
So we're at 114.40. Dylan, you ready to hit play?
In 1, 2, 3, play.
All right.
I'm turning mine down.
I'm turning my volume down. I still want to be able to hear it in case Jerry Lawler says something offensive.
He will. He was in a promo with
The Rock. Like, what is happening here? So we're getting the video montage right now showing the build up to the match. And apparently this was because Triple H was Eugene's favorite wrestler, which I don't remember.
And Regal, yeah. And I remember this because Regal thought Triple H was using him the whole time.
Well, isn't the whole thing too is like Eugene is like Triple H obviously has bad intentions, but like Triple H beats up Regal or something, and that's Eugene's friend. So he costs.
That's later. That's later in this.
Okay.
Just, you know how many chair shots to the face Triple H took in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Thinking about it now, it was every week.
Oh my God. This is the Triple H white boot era, which I fucking hated.
Hated
Those boots look so fine. I said it back then.
That and the biker shorts. When he was in the biker short era, I was like,
he had to wear the compression shorts for a while.
Yep.
Those look, but the white boots I always hated because they didn't match the whole. It's not like the rest of his gear was white. Like you said, but he's got a little bit of white. But like
the only time I liked it was when he had the red gear.
I don't really remember
the red gear with the. I loved the red
top guy red gear.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like IC Run, he had like the metallic.
No, he had top guy red gear.
Top guy red gear. I don't remember.
Yep.
Oh, see, like Regal's really upset that Eugene's getting hurt now.
Look how small Regal looks.
I even love the simplicity of Eugene.
More chair shots to the face.
Yeah. How many chair shots do you think Triple H took just from Eugene alone?
I bet he took one on the house shows every weekend.
I would say so.
Oh, this is where he just. I remember this being like brutal.
He beats the shit out of Regal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say this is kind of the time era where like Regal has just had enough with Triple H kind of using Eugene, and he comes out and cuts like one of the really good promos of his career.
Yeah.
Where it becomes like a very serious thing, and like Regal basically is like, I'm gonna avenge Eugene, whatever. But he like really cuts a dynamite promo on Raw one night. So this is the impetus for this match. We get this set up. They had a little build. Eugene loves Triple H. There's a turn. Triple H beats up Steven Regal. And now
How crazy is it to think about evolution? I always thought this was crazy. Randy Orton was the champion, and Batista, or Triple H was the champion, and Batista was a tag champ.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I was like, Batista should be the world champion here, and Randy should be tagging with Ric Flair.
You know, it's interesting. Once again, it's the mindset and how old you are and how you interpret it. Like I said, when I was a kid, I thought the Barbarian could have won the Royal Rumble because you don't know any better. But when I'm an adult, like I said, I'm 22 during this. So to me, it was just like, oh, this is just who they're pushing. So I never looked at it like, oh, Batista is the guy who should be the champ. It was just, well, one of these guys is going to be the champ. Like, it doesn't matter who.
Now I know what timeline this is. This is the year. So the year before this was the infamous Triple H Shawn street fight.
No, that's 2 years of difference. That was SummerSlam 2002.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yep.
So Mr. Stay Puft says, wasn't there another member of Evolution?
Mark
Jindrak from WCW. Yep. He was in like the original
vignettes
that they taped, and then whatever
they talk about the Triple H, the sick Triple H doc, that the network put out right before the network was done, or maybe Peacock, maybe it was a Peacock one.
It was it was something relatively recently because I remember watching it. It was just like they just looked at Jindrak.
They finally showed like footage of it.
Yes,
and Triple H just goes, it just didn't fit. It just didn't feel right.
And then they switched him out for Batista.
Shot the whole vignette.
Yeah, redid the whole thing with Batista in that spot instead. Mr. Stay Puft also says Eugene was my favorite Raw deal deck.
I never played the Raw deal. No, and I always wanted to get into it, but I never played it.
Triple H in the middle of bulking season right here. Could you be any bigger than that right now?
02 Triple H.
When he came back from the surgery.
There is no bigger wrestler than 02 Triple H. Like,
there was no wellness policy in place at that point. And you look
you look at Brock, and Brock is massive, obviously. But you look at Triple H, there is no one that has ever looked as cool as O2 Triple H.
Triple H at that point where he first came back from the injury leading into that title win and stuff.
Were you at that one? That was good. That was the Garden.
So not only am I at that one, I'm
How
on
are you?
every.
That's right. That's right.
I'm holding the sign in the audience
That's
that's
right.
on every
I always
Triple
forget
H
that.
DVD
I
from
always
there.
forget about that.
So if you ever see that scene
Was
where
Hawkins
Triple H
there?
makes the return at the Garden, they show a sign that says NYC Heart HHH with like the logos painted very nicely and stuff. One of the people I was with was an artist and made this sign. I am the third H in the Triple H logo, and I get like zoomed in on. So I have been on every Triple H DVD for the past 20 something years.
Was Hawkins at that one?
I do not know. I didn't know him at that point. So
Did he
I don't
go to
know.
a lot of Garden shows or just Long Island?
I think maybe Cardona was there. Matt was more of a travel into the city because his dad was a cop. So his dad would just get them in. But I don't know if Brian was the same with going into the city. So we're starting off hot here. A lot of back and forth, a lot of punch kick. Good old Attitude Era style match.
Like, so Eugene, Nick Dinsmore, is a very gifted wrestler.
He's a wrestler, yeah.
He's a wrestler's wrestler. But how he would perform as Eugene and the mannerisms he would use as Eugene were always mind-blowing to me.
Just
like
the way
made the character.
So Triple H just
out of the ring.
Here. I was just gonna say Triple H patters to the outside here, and just Eugene, the way he's kind of just walking around the ring, taking his paces to like let it set. That way he can do his thing, give Triple H a moment, and then he can go. Just the way he kind of stalks around the ring is really well done and really getting into what this character is. And then something as simple as what they're doing now with Lillian Garcia, Triple H using her as a human shield, and the way Eugene is doing it. And I was just about to say the same thing as Mr. Stay Puft just said in the chat here. Eugene's mannerisms are very Jim Duggan-esque, and it's
like fast Frankenstein.
Yeah, it is. It's like a fast Frankenstein. The arms are kind of always out and stalkerish. They're out wide, and just he's got this always perplexed look on his face, like he's processing what can go on next. But even like his wrestling has always been great. We always knew him as the guy from OVW who was like for years the next guy who never got the call. And then when it did, it was almost like a joke. Like they made this guy wait 10 years in developmental for this.
Yep. But got over way more than he would have as a wrestler.
And he's way more remembered now than he would have. Like, think about all the other guys that came up at that time. Like Orton, obviously, but like you take Orton, Cena, Batista out of there. All the other guys that came up, the Bashams, who were big OVW guys, like.
Can Eugene be talked about today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Can Eugene make an appearance today?
Yes.
He can. Okay.
I think so. The only thing that
that's awesome. If he loses count and then he just keeps the
only thing that would hurt Eugene is Nick's political views. He's very outspoken on Twitter right now.
Oh, is he?
Not quite Val Venus, but he does like his conspiracies a bit. Thankfully, Triple H remembered to wear his black boots in this match. That way I don't have to go fucking nuts.
I've realized I'm not good at watch-alongs because I really like watching wrestling.
And you forget to talk about it.
I really get sucked in.
Well, that's why I look at it as kind of my job to kind of guide you. And, right here, once again, they're not doing anything that's going to break ground, but they're having a personality and a conflict-driven matchup. This is about the story more than it is the match.
Triple H, again, we said it.
As Mr. Stay Puft says, if he does an appearance as Eugene with a tinfoil hat on, it kind of fits.
Here's my thing is Triple H, we talked about it earlier. He just main evented what I still think is the best until this year is the best WrestleMania of all time. I
That's
I still think it. I still think
I
20.
it
I
it's
think 20 is better than 17. I will go to the grave with that.
it's probably in my top 10 easy. I don't know if I would have to really think about it to see if it makes my top
I
5.
love it. I love it. And I think it's a nostalgia thing. That was my graduating year. And I was like finally getting into wrestling. The McMahon promo to start the show with Shane and then the
And the
baby.
baby, yeah.
Like, man, that gives me goosebumps
So
right now.
remember, it wasn't that long ago where they were showing Shane's son in the front row because he plays college football now.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I guess he's got one less job option to choose from going forward after that name now.
Yeah. Who knows though, in all reality. But we can always change the last name.
It'd be Declan McManus.
Yeah.
McManus is coming.
I just like thinking about it. He went from that to this and pulled this off so well. Triple H.
Joe Compton says Triple H nailed the cool factor back then. I'm sure for a lot of people he did. For me, and this is going to sound like heresy to a lot of people, and Dylan, for you, I'm sure.
Like what?
Heresy. To
like
me,
a Harris? Like a Harris? Like a
no, like an abomination. Heresy. Okay. To me, Triple H was never the top guy. Triple H to me is the guy that worked with the guy. He was the guy to get other people over.
Yeah. I agree.
So for me, it wasn't so much that he was cool. It's that he was very good about being a dick. But I am very much one of those people who completely buys into the Triple H reign of terror and how I don't want to say it ruined an era of wrestling for me, but it became markedly less interesting because a lot of Triple H's big time main event matches were always very much paint by numbers, which I don't necessarily blame him for, because if you look at all top guys throughout the eras, all their matches are inherently paint by numbers with the way they get through stuff.
John Cena's. I love John Cena, and he'll get a reaction out of me every time, and a reaction out of every fan every time. You know what's coming.
Bret Hart, Bret Hart, the excellence of execution, went from point A to point B to point C. There was a script that he followed.
I will never admit that I love Bret Hart. He's a good pal of mine. I will never admit that he was the top guy. It hurts me to admit that.
I think Bret's biggest contribution, in all honesty, was the way he grew the brand internationally, because he never felt like that big of a star necessarily during the down period, which it was when him and Shawn were on top. That new generation
era is literally the worst period in WWF.
And it almost bankrupted the company. So he never felt like that set your flag in the ground star in the United States. But the way he was over in Europe and able to build the brand in Europe and give them those options and the ability to go on those tours and make money there's a lot to hang on the hat of Bret Hart there. Mr. Stay Puft says, I fell out of wrestling in 02 to 06. My college years, I was too cool for wrestling. So I missed this whole timeline.
Man, these SummerSlams and these WrestleManias, Justin.
No, see, this is where I'll disagree with you. I think WrestleMania 21 through 29 are just an absolute dead zone for WrestleMania. Some of the absolute worst shows since the early ones. And
I loved 21. I loved 22. No. I loved 23.
Oh no.
24 was great. 25 was a little bit of a miss.
No, I think they're all bad. 21 through 29, I think they're all bad.
I love 21. The Hollywood, man, I love that Mania. I love 22. Man, I loved 22.
You have Triple H versus Orton one year is not a good main event.
24.
Well, then you have the Miz one year where
that's way late. That's 20.
He's like 28 or something. But that one, and I don't even blame the Miz in this. He's the champion walking into the match, and you basically forget that he's even there because it becomes about setting up Rock versus Cena the
Which
next
I was
year.
so bummed out about for Miz. Like I was like, man, and then he gets knocked out. He main events WrestleMania and has no recollection of it now.
Yeah. Wow, is that true?
Yeah, legitimate.
Wow,
has no recollection of it. He won. He beat John Cena, and he has no memory of it.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
Joe Compton says there was a method to Triple H's madness and a certain madness to his method. I mean, I'm sure that's what the announcers want you to believe, right? Like that sounds like something directly out of Jerry Lawler's mouth.
It's very Shel Silverstein.
Yeah. But it's
just look at how sweaty Eugene is.
Yeah, it's like me right now, just watching this.
It's you taking that chicken out of the air fryer.
It's me taking that chicken out of the toaster oven.
You tomorrow on the toilet after eating that chicken.
So I don't have the volume up enough. Can you tell how the crowd is into this?
They love it.
Like
Eugene was so over.
I'm watching them and they seem into it, and everyone seems like they're having a good time. And Eugene's pumped up. They're getting behind this comeback right now. And
he's so sweaty. I can't get over how sweaty he is. I can't.
Oh, he gave him the finger. Triple H kick wham. Oh, Eugene with the kick wham stunner. I always loved that bump Triple H took going out of the ring through the ropes. That was always very cool looking. There's certain guys that when they do something so simple, it just kind of stands out to you sometimes.
Remember when Kane would exit the ring over the top rope backwards, and I always thought he was going to hurt himself.
Mine is Marty Jannetty going out of the ring to the floor when he would just go to leave, like the match is over.
The handover. They both did it, and then he kept it.
Yes, it was the handover, but it was kind of like he used the rope as propulsion to shoot his legs up in the air.
Yeah.
So when I was a lot younger, I used to try to do that when I would get out of the ring. I wouldn't try that now because I'd probably
try to do it now.
I'd probably land on my fucking head.
Like, the next show you're on, I need to see video of you before the show trying it.
I think 2025 we're gonna get a little bit of a Captain Joe Shoes comeback tour on the Indies.
I can't wait. I need to be part of that.
So I think me and you get some matching gear. Start making towns together. A State of Affairs tag team tour.
Yep.
Put us in all those top flight
hotels.
Was
this the Muhammad Hassan year? No, that was 05.
No, it was a little earlier, wasn't it? Closer to 9/11.
Oh, was it? Hogan and no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Hogan and was Hogan and Shawn on this show? Nope, that was
Hogan and Shawn is the year after, I think.
05?
Yeah.
Yeah, because 06 was Hogan and Randy.
So everything we said about Eugene and the way the company treats the character during this, as he's doing this, is exactly to me what they did wrong with Muhammad Hassan.
There's the usual. Here's a Triple H bump every match.
Yep. Now, Eugene's gonna break out the pedigree here.
No, I agree fully. I fully agree. As with the Muhammad Hassan, they went on that gimmick so heavily.
I think at first they did it correctly, where they'd have him cut the promos where he's like, "Listen, I'm an American." He's like, "Just don't persecute me just because I happen to be from whatever Afghani descent or whatever it was that he was claiming at the time," which I thought was brilliant because it really showed like the racial tensions at the time.
Yep.
Because I mean, after 9/11 happened, I remember me and my friends sitting there and saying, Vince McMahon sitting in a boardroom right now with Steve Austin just going, "Listen, from now on, you're Austin Bin Laden." And like you expected him to come out and burn the flag and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the Hassan thing, once they got away from the, "Hey, I'm just an American like you," and went full on like, no. And then they did the stuff with the guys in the cloaks and everything. Oh, so we got this little bit of fuckery on the outside of the ring. Regal's coming down trying to save the day from Flair, but Eugene gets distracted and he walks right into a pedigree. And I think this is the point where we still don't kick out of the finish, right? No. So Triple H escapes with a win, albeit Not necessarily the cleanest of wins. William Regal there wearing the good beaten makeup. Got that.
That was exactly what it needed to be.
Exactly what it should have
Literally,
been.
exactly
Exactly.
what it needed to
Yes.
be.
It didn't need to be 100 stars and all this. It was a match based. And see, now Triple H is just having fun dragging Flair to the back by his ankle. But yeah, this is 100% exactly what this match should have been. They had an issue, a personal issue leading up to this, going in, and they worked the match around the story. I thought this was really good.
I love it.
How many main men would you give this, Dylan? On a scale of 0 to quintuple main man, where would you give this?
0 to 100 main men. I'm going to give this 81 main men.
81%. I see. I'm going to say a 3.5 main man. Like you said, I think this
What does that count? What is that?
3.5
out of what?
5.
Oh, okay. Which is essentially what I said.
Close. Yeah, we're in the same area here. But I think this is a 3.5 main man. It worked to its place on the card.
Loved it.
Which is something I think a lot of people don't understand is a thing too. I do think you need to work on your, to your place on the card. You can't just always go out there and steal the show. That's not necessarily your role all the time. Wow, how much? I mean, I understand this is 20 years ago, but it's kind of shocking seeing how young JR and the King look.
Yeah, yep, I thought that same thing. Exactly what we said at the beginning of this. It was Triple H, the toppest of the top guy during this era, stepping down and working with Eugene
and getting him over.
That would be okay. That would be Randy Orton during the Santino era. That would be Randy Orton working with Santino on SummerSlam.
Yeah,
crazy.
in a featured match with a whole build-up on TV.
Yeah, loved it. Exactly what it needed to be. 81 out of 100. 3.5 triple main men, which essentially 3 times 3.5.
About 70% there, right?
No, it's not. 75%. Wait.
3.5 times 20.
Yeah. So you didn't rate it as well as I did.
Oh, I think it was exactly like, I think that's a perfect way to describe this match, is exactly what it should have been.
Yep. I agree. Guys, that's going to do it for this month's watch along.
I should be seeing the King tomorrow. He's at Black Label Pros Wrestling Combine. I'm happy to see Jerry's making towns and stuff still.
He's making very few towns because
I know.
Swoggle Championship has wanted him forever, and he's still not making many towns.
So I saw he's back to doing autographs.
Yep.
They're not the same.
No.
And that made me sad. Because
he has been the prettiest autograph.
He's got one of the best looking autographs in the history of the business.
Luger also. Luger's auto?
Very nice.
So nice.
But I look at that as Lex comes from a traditional sports background where there was more emphasis on having a decent autograph.
Yeah, I get it. No, he wasn't fucking signing autographs as an Atlanta Falcon.
100% he was. He was signing autographs in the USFL. I have a Lex Luger fucking Tampa Bay Bandits jersey.
Nah, shoes. I would love you to find me a Lex Luger autograph.
I mean, it would be like a Larry Fole NFL autograph.
That's what I'm saying. There is no way that he did autos back then. I'm
saying there's always, just because they may be very limited, it's not like he was signing autographs like for the card companies like you guys signed them today.
Correct.
It's not to that level, but I guarantee he was signing autographs walking out of practice for kids and stuff.
I would love an original. I would love that.
So where I fucked up is not this year. Last year you had Luger at Swoggle Championship.
Yeah,
right?
and I got the best thing ever signed.
You got the Intrepid sign. I
Yep.
forgot. I wanted to bring. I have this custom made Tampa Bay Bandits
Yeah.
USFL jersey that says Full
I
72 on it.
told you to bring that.
And when I packed my bag, I forgot to bring it. So I wanted to get that signed, and I didn't realize
told
it
you to bring that.
until I was already at the airport. And I was like, fuck, that was like one of those missed opportunities. I don't know if I'll ever get to see Luger again. You know, just sometimes you don't know. Like
you will.
Years ago, I would have been like, oh, I'll just catch him the next time down the road. At this point, I don't know.
But that's what I like about Wrestling Con every year for us. I like to get a couple randos. I like to get a couple weird items signed every year.
Of course. Oh my God. It's great. Guys, this was the watch along for August 2024. We will have another one coming for you for the month of September, as well as another social dinnering. Thank you for supporting at the deli sandwich level. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us, chatting along with us. This is the first time we've tried this format out.
I like this format so much more.
Yeah, I think this has a lot of potential, especially if we have times where more and more people can be participating in this. I think this has a lot of fun can be had when doing this. So thank you guys. Otherwise, we are going to call it a night. So
like Tom,
let's cruise.
Let's Jerry.